Howdy y'all, welcome back. Today we have an awesome video. We're going to be looking at this construction right here. Now, to many of you, you may say, construction? This looks like something that is naturally occurring. But as we get into this video a little bit deeper and we look at some of these photographs, we're going to be talking about Masada. Now, this is an ancient fortification in southern Israel on the edge of the Judean desert overlooking the Dead Sea. Now, this construction, this fortification, this whole complex that was said to be built by the human hand is situated atop an isolated rocky plateau that is said to be similar to a mesa. Now, if you know anything about the mesas of North America, which we have talked about in some of my previous videos, they often have construction on top of them that is similar to this, as if these were built upon for a specific reason. Now, we're told, at least in this narrative, there are many different reasons, many different points of contention that we can argue over to the exact purpose of this fortification. So we are going to go over the current narrative today. But before I wax too poetic on that, we have to mention, and I've seen it in a lot of other videos recently, when we look at fortifications like this, the ones that are sitting atop these ancient rocks, and they appear to go into the rock itself. They appear to be part of the rock formation. It looks as if everything was petrified, everything was melted, everything was somehow formed together. Others have argued this appears to be something like an ancient tree stump, something of a megalithic tree that once stood on this earth that was eventually taken over when it fell, and the stump was occupied. And we have many sort of fortifications that look like that all around our world, all around the ancient history that we've dove into, but all of them seem to have written histories that have been applied to them that discredit any sort of wonderment that we may have over their creation. Now, let's go over this current narrative of Masada, but please keep an open mind and take everything here with a grain of salt, because I wanted to share this with you because it absolutely looks like something that goes against the grain and goes against the current narrative that it has been given. As we look at this fortification at Masada, this epic construction said to be made by human hands, the history will tell us the foundations of this structure date back to the 1st century BC, beginning with the second Hasmonean king, Alexander Jannaeus. Alexander ruled over the entire kingdom of Judea. However, Masada was then inherited by Herod the Great, also in the 1st century BC, who greatly expanded this site to his liking. Now, this was the location of a controversial event involving the Sicarii, the first assassins in history, at least according to this narrative, said to be the root for the cloak and dagger, as the Sicarii were rebels who would carry sakai, or small daggers, and wear Roman cloaks. They would commit atrocities in public in these gatherings before they would raise their cloaks over their heads, and they would become lost amongst the Romans in the crowd. Much of the Sicarii history and the history of Masada comes to us from the Roman historian Josephus. Now, modern interpretations of the history suggest the Sicarii were not supported by the Jewish majority at the time, and the Sicarii were said to have actually raided numerous Hebrew villages and destroyed Hebrew monuments, claiming them to be of Roman origin. Now, these Sicarii were said to be entirely wiped out at the siege of Masada. We are told Masada was the location and the last stronghold for the Sicarii rebels, and today Masada is the second most visited tourist attraction in all of Israel. However, when we look at the history, this wouldn't be suggested by the current narrative. We're told Masada was then last occupied in the Byzantine period, when a small church was established on its lofty ruins. From here, the history goes almost entirely dormant, and this site was said to have been abandoned and forgotten until relatively recently. It was, quote, rediscovered in 1838 by two Americans, Edward Robinson and Eli Smith. Then 4 years later, in 1842, mind you, we could have had photographs by this time, but in 1842, Samuel Walcott became the first man to climb and document Masada. However, the first excavations of this site apparently did not occur until 1959. So almost every photograph we have of this over 2,000-year-old structure come to us well into the 20th century, which I find to be shocking and remarkable. Now, this is just a video I wanted to share with you to let you look at this structure, because I would love to hear your opinion about it down below. I obviously feel like the current narrative is leaving a lot for us to desire when it comes to understanding what this structure actually is. And I also want to request if anyone can find any photographs of Masada before the year 1900, so photographs from the 1800s, I would love to see those. Please leave some links down below. I want to hear what you have to say in our discussion in the comments, and I can't wait to talk to you on the next video.